Welcome to Chamber Exchange, a TV show. My name is Tim Murray, President and CEO of the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce. And Chamber Exchange, a TV show, is an opportunity for us to bring on Chamber member businesses, guests, and others in the community that are creating to the economic well-being of the region. And I want to thank Bank Hometown for helping make the show happen as our sponsor. And with that, pleased to have with us in our first segment, Sheri-Ann McLean, who is the founder and CEO of McLean Coaching and Consulting. Sheri-Ann, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tim, for having me.
Yeah, well, maybe we could just kind of start a little bit about McLean Coaching and Consulting, what the company does.
Sure. So we offer coaching, we offer leadership training, we do DISC assessment, we do workshops, and it's for both individuals and companies.
Okay. And how is it that you kind of started that business and what kind of brought you to Worcester?
Sure. So I'm originally from Jamaica. I moved here in 2016. I got a work opportunity here, but before that, I used to do resident advising at the college in Jamaica, and I used to incorporate coaching and training. I used to work with the Jamaica Red Cross. I did some consulting with them. And so when I came here, I saw that there would be an opportunity for me to do that. And so I started to develop those skills. I started to get certification. I started to work with individuals, work with companies back home as well. And then I officially launched in 2022 last year in January.
Okay. And you mentioned resident, so working with students.
Yes.
So you're coaching and advising
yeah.
and being a mentor is not something you're unfamiliar with.
Yes.
And in that capacity, just work with students on a whole range of issues, I would imagine.
Oh,
right?
yeah, definitely. A whole range of issues. One of the things that we used to do, too, we had a student cultural development committee, and that's something that I used to oversee along with another resident advisor, working with the cultural development, working with talent development, talent acquisition, and things like that.
And so when we talk about like talent, that would be, at the time, sitting down with a student who may have an academic interest in a certain area and then working with them to better understand the potential career paths of where that academic interest may take them in terms of employment or even starting or running their own business. Exactly.
And they love that. They love that we were able to sit down and have those conversations with them, because if we think about our experience in the university, at college, it's sometimes can be chaotic, and we're not sure what we're going to do. We're not sure what our next steps are going to be. And so having that level of guidance was really instrumental at that phase in their lives.
Right. And so now you've kind of taken that experience and brought that to the next level, working with businesses. And you mentioned, some of the certifications. People can call themselves a coach or a consultant, but there's formal kind of training and certifications that you've gone through to kind of have those credentials.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm a certified Maxwell team member under the John Maxwell team. He is a phenomenal leadership expert. I also have my certification with the Transformation Academy, where I'm a certified master life coach. And I've had, exposure to a lot of resources, coaching materials, training materials, workshop materials, exposure and access to DISC assessment. And that's how I'm able to put it together in a nice little bundle and offer it to individuals. And
so when you say a DISC assessment, what is that?
So a DISC assessment is a really cool tool. I love it. Normally when an individual would come to me or a company, I usually say, let's start with the DISC assessment. And it really is a personality assessment. It breaks down how we communicate with others, because it's one thing to know how you communicate, but then it's another thing to know how you communicate with others. And so putting it together, it's a 30-page assessment. It's pretty in depth, but then it really targets those different areas. So when you think about this, the D is for like a dominant personality. When you think about the I, it's an influencing personality. The S is for steady, and the C is for compliant. So there's different rankings that persons will rate, and it will start rating higher on some. Maybe someone is rated higher on the S, and then lower on the D, and then it comes together in a nice package. And at the bottom, it really say, okay, then this is your action step. As a IS personality, these are some of the stuff that works well with you, and then these are some of the stuff that you can work on as your area of development.
So you would work with an individual in terms of how they maximize the skills that they have, how they would kind of things that they can do to kind of improve in certain areas, and then kind of match that up to some extent with the requirements of their job, right?
Yes.
So when you go in for a company, do do you do that with every individual, or how do you
No,
assess
no.
the company if
So-
you're working with?
So we technically start off with a discovery call, right? So we want to know what that company is looking for and what in that moment they need. And based on that discovery call, there are certain proposals that I will send, say, okay, then maybe we'll start with a certain, like the management level of the company, and then see how we can trickle that down there, right? And so it's sort of like the train-the-trainer approach, where we get the management equipped with the skills, and then they can trickle it down to staff.
And what do you usually find kind of prompts a company to reach out or recognize that they maybe should bring in some level of kind of professional training, professional development?
Right.
Most companies are focused on delivering a good or service, but your ability to do that is only
Right.
going to be successful based upon kind of the culture and the employees
Right.
that you build. So what kind of triggers a company to reach out or
Right.
engage with you?
So it starts with the work productivity, right? We're seeing a drift in how a company probably normally performs, and we're seeing a decline in that. And the work morale, the work culture, we're seeing issues with that. And that's when companies normally will reach out and said, we're not clicking the way that we used to. Something is not flowing the way that it used to. So we're bringing in this external support to help us to get back on track. Because my main goal is to get you from where you are to where you need to be. Whether it's an individual, whether it's a company, we're really trying to focus on us being the best version of ourselves. So productivity can be high, the work culture can be in a better place, and it can be a community where we can support each other.
So you mentioned, productivity and companies trying to figure out, things, and certainly the whole experience with COVID and remote learning and remote work have played into that. And ironically, you've started this company in the middle of kind of this level of uncertainty. So how are companies reconciling with this, and how do you work with them and advise them in terms of balancing these things?
It's a tough place. It's a tough place to be. And, starting in COVID and trying to, get companies to get back on track, whatever they want to work on, whatever their goals might be, it's really focusing on the end goal. Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to go? And then I always use analogy like I'm in the bus with you, or in the car, or in the taxi with you, and we're going. I'm not going to leave you, behind, or I'm not going to hop out and be like, bye, this is not working out anymore. But really holding your hands and as we go on that journey, and knowing that it's going to come with difficulties, right? It's going to be a new normal. It's going to be a lot of different steps that we're going to have to take to figure out to get to where we need to be. My goal, or my ask of companies, is that don't give up.
Right.
Don't give up. Regardless of what will come, regardless of the obstacles that will come, just don't give up. And as long as there's that attitude and that willingness, then we'll definitely get to where we need to be.
So you can work with a company, short term, and then basically empower them to hopefully continue to work on these types of issues collectively and individually as employees. You can work with them on a regular basis or more. You can tailor those agreements, and same thing with an individual?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's geared towards, a lot of times I always say that we know what we want, but sometimes we need a little help in getting to that place, right? We all have the skills within us to get to where we need to be, but sometimes we need a little help to help us get to that. And so it has to be tailored specific to the individual and the company. It's not one hat fits all. And so that's where that discovery calls come in. That's where that consultation comes in. We have that conversation. We see what resources are available, what other resources we can add to that mix, and then we can come up with a plan to move forward.
Got it. So, Sheri-Ann, if there's a company out there watching, or an individual that's interested in learning more and having a conversation with you, how can they do that?
I am all over social media. I am LinkedIn. I am on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Just look for McLean Coaching and Consulting. I'm right there. And you can email me at admin@McLean Coaching and Consulting, and I'll be ready to have a conversation with you.
And that's capital MC, capital LEAN.
Yes.
At McLean Coaching and Consulting. All right.
Yes.
Well, Sheri-Ann, thanks for being with us. I'm sure our viewers, as did I, learned a lot about kind of the science of this, and best of luck, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Tim.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And stay with us. We're going to come right back to talk a little technology.
These days, you've got your hands full in life. That's why we help you bank simply and securely. with tools like Face ID and Touch ID. It's why we make it easy to make purchases on the go and get cash back while you're at it. Why we help you quickly deposit checks wherever you are. And it's why we lend a hand with sending and receiving money right from your phone. So even when you're on the move, you can manage your finances. Bank Hometown. Unlock your potential.
Worcester, a city with heart, history, and promise. A hub of innovation in life sciences, education, and healthcare. Home to multi-generational families, first-generation citizens, and next-generation baseball and hockey greats. Home to great parks, world-class museums, theaters, and restaurants. Worcester, the place to visit, to invest, and to call home.